The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. My apologies, we're a couple of minutes late here. It is not because we were stuck in traffic. It was because I was on hold with my insurance company. Well, that's a whole other Oprah. We'll talk about that in a minute. I know you can all relate. And I did not get through. I gave up, which means they're going to get an earful from me later. But how are all of you? I'm so thrilled to be here with you. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're coming to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. This is the home for Autism Live, and it is also the home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm so thrilled and delighted and grateful and feel so lucky to be here and have this opportunity to spend the next hour with you live talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. You know, this is a big, beautiful community, and we love for all of you to participate. In fact, we're going to have Traven show you some of the different ways that you can write into the show. I want you to know that this show is meant for the whole autism community. That means the individuals who are on the autism spectrum, of course, right? But also all the people who love and care about them and want them to make the progress that is substantive for them. So that's a lot of us, right? I'm a parent. There are practitioners watching the show, teachers, there are grandparents, cousins, boyfriends, girlfriends, right? Because that's what this community is about. And you know what I say? We hold hands. Si se puede. We can do this. I don't think anybody gets there on their own. I've just come to that conclusion. I don't think anybody gets there on their own, but we can do this together. All right, lots to talk about today. Big show today, but I do want to say, I don't know any of you who have been watching the Democratic debates the last two nights, but we heard autism said last night, and the context in which they said it was very interesting to my ear because Mr. Yang, who is a dad of, he's got sons, and one of them is on the autism spectrum. And what he said was, you know, we don't value people's time. He says, my wife is home right now taking care of both of our boys, one who is on the autism spectrum. And he said, you know, how does society value her time? They don't. And yet she's doing one of the most important jobs there is. And I thought, I like that. I like that hearing on a presidential debate stage. I just really appreciated that. It was a nice moment, I thought, for all of us who care deeply about kiddos on the autism spectrum. So we'll see how that debate thing all shakes down. And later on in the year, as we get further, we will start talking about how all of the candidates, what information they put out about their disability platform and what they say specifically about autism, because isn't that a part of what we want to know? You know, and in the past, we've reached out to candidates, and when there's not this huge field, I'm not having 20 people on the show, you know what I'm saying? Unless they all want to talk about autism, I will happily say, candidates, we will welcome them here, but usually we wait till the playing field gets narrowed out a little bit, and then we reach out and say, you know, if somebody wants to come on and talk about their autism platform, we are happy to have them talk about that. This is not a platform to talk about everything else. Right? There are many other platforms on which to talk about everything else. But if they want to talk about their autism plan, we will cover it. They can send us documents and we'll cover it, or we're happy to have the candidates on. So just saying. Okay. So I like to remind all of you at the start of the show that we have many experts on the show, and we're having some amazing experts on the show today. But please don't confuse me for being one of the experts. I'm not. I am an autism mom. As I said, I'm a former teacher, and I am a part of this larger community and grateful and loving being here in this community with you. I care deeply about you, but I'm not an expert in autism. I have an informed opinion, having covered autism for more than 10 years now from a journalistic point of view, have interviewed a lot of people. I feel like, I have some knowledge that that's very varied and but not an expert, right? Have an informed opinion, willing to share. But please don't confuse me for an expert. Please do write in and ask questions of our experts. I think that Traven showed you some of the ways that you could connect with us. And I want to say that our homepage is autism-live.com. And there is even a chat there that if you click on the chat button at the bottom of the screen, it pops up into a window. It's free, it's anonymous. And that is one of the ways that it differs from writing a question, say, on YouTube or Facebook. If you write on YouTube or Facebook, people at least see your username and can track back to who you are. If you write it into me on our live feature, no one ever knows, including me. I don't get to know who you are, and that's sometimes you need anonymity, right? So just wanted to make that clear to you. But again, I'm not one of the experts. Hey, we like to start every Thursday morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we try to figure out what in the hey nani are the experts talking about. Now, today's term is something that's come up a lot lately as I've been talking to parents. This question of hyperlexia. If you haven't heard of this before, let's show them the actual definition there, Traven. Actual definition is an ability to read words without prior training in learning to read, typically before the age of 5. We see sometimes that there are kids who have this, it's just this, they're drawn towards words and towards numbers. And a lot of parents are surprised to find out that their 3-year-old, who isn't able to do a lot of other things, can pick up a book and read it. We've heard stories of kids that are 3 reading the New York Times, right? But let's take a look at what our working definition is, because there's pluses and minuses to hyperlexia. Hyperlexia is having a heightened ability to decode words, but not necessarily having heightened reading comprehension. So if you see that with your child that at a very young age, they get very passionately interested in numbers and letters, and those are the only toys that they want to talk about, right? We hear that from a lot of parents, and they go, I don't know what that is. It may be hyperlexia, it may not be, but it may be hyperlexia, and there is some good news there that those kids already know what's reinforcing to them. They love numbers and they love letters. And what we've heard from our experts is that, having worked with hundreds, if not thousands of these kids, is that part of what they like about numbers and letters is that they're structured. A 1 is a 1 is a 1, and it always stands for 1. It's inflexible. And so for kids who are having a lot of chaos in their brains, it's a steady, it's a constant, right? Just like an A is an A, right? So these are kids who tend to be a little bit on the inflexible side. Change gives them anxiety. To further that, these are kids who tend to have a fair amount of anxiety. Do they learn really rapidly? Yes. Do these kids have the ultimate potential? Usually these are the kids who, if they're given good quality ABA, man, they sail through their lessons and do really well. But the asterisk is, if you don't take care of the anxious portion, they'll learn all the concrete things, they'll learn all the rules because that's really exciting to them, and they'll be like, oh, well, if P then Q, got it, moving on, right? But it's all the fuzzy stuff that you got to take care of them with. You might have to do cognitive behavioral therapy when they're older. You may see OCD tendencies. You should be mindful of that. As we're helping kids to come more into the world, right? We have to be careful that we give them every opportunity to be able to cope with the world. I remember, we should have Patrick Duffy on again. I remember interviewing him years ago, and he had done a one-man show in college about his experience of being diagnosed with autism as a child and being, I believe, nonverbal, but now being, you would meet Patrick and you would have no idea. Very social, wonderful performer, awesome guy, right? And he said, one of the things that was hard was that as I got these skills to be able to do these social things, then I got the negative of the social things. People broke my heart. People disappointed me. People did things that I didn't understand because nobody would, right? And he said, there were times that I wondered if maybe I would have been better off staying in the little cocoon that I was in with autism. And that was a process that he worked through and has been very honest about. We have a responsibility as parents and teachers and loved ones of individuals on the spectrum that if you teach them a skill that gives them that latitude to be more in the social world, then you got to take care of them through that. Because let's face it, the world's not an easy place, right? And the social world, not easy for anyone, and throw someone on the spectrum in there and give them the skills to manage it, okay, but there's going to be a rocky road at some point. So hyperlexia can be a very positive thing, but let's make sure we take care of the whole individual when we do that. Okay, moving on, we always have a question for you here on the show of the day. We look forward to hearing your responses on Facebook and on YouTube. Our question for you today, what are you passionate about? Years ago, I went to a seminar with a guy who has written prolifically for television. Prolifically. They're like, you would recognize a bunch of the things that he's written. And he was talking about his childhood. And he said, when I was a kid, and he's an older gentleman, so when he was a kid, television was a relatively new thing, right? And he said, they had the black and white television set that sat in the living room, and his parents would go to bed. And he would wait until he could hear them snoring, and then he would get up and come out to sit in front of the TV and watch it until it used to be that television stations went off the air. I know I'm dating myself here, but they would go off the air, and then there would be this broadcasting symbol that often would have a picture of a Native American on it, and it would go beep, and it would do that until they came back on the air, probably at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And because they just weren't going to do programming in the middle of the night back then. And so he would sit there, and he said, I sat there until I saw the Native American and heard the beep, and then it was bedtime for me, which was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. And but that was his passion. That was his thing. He said, I never once for a moment knew, there was no doubt. I knew that I was going to be writing for television, that's what I was going to do. And I think about that all the time when I think about our kids, that it's so easy for us to label something and go, oh, well, they're perseverating on this. And ever since I became aware of Temple Grandin, I thought, okay, well, Temple perseverated on a fair amount of things. She just put them into action. And she teaches us to put those things into action for our kids. So what are you passionate about? And have you found the way to make that? There are some people who are like, nope, that's my hobby, and I don't want it to be my work because I don't want to mess with my hobby, right? But then there are other people who are like, this is my passion that I want to do it all the time, which means that's what I want to do for a living. Both are okay, but what are you passionate about? Have you found the way to be able to do it as a hobby while you're working, or have you made your passion your work? And then, how can we do this for our kids? How can we do this for every individual who's on the autism spectrum? We had a guest on whose adult son, he loves to build cages. It's what he does. And it doesn't matter what you say to him, morning till night, he's building a cage for different, and some of them are just for display, some of them for animals. He loves to work with animals and rescue animals, but the building the cages is the thing that he loves to do. What do you love to do? What's your favorite thing to do? And do you give yourself time to do it? What would happen to you if somebody said, don't do that? Don't do that. I don't want you to do that anymore. Ever. We're going to talk a little bit tomorrow about a new article about stimming, because sometimes for our kids, the stim is what they're passionate about. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What are you passionate about? What's your thing? Are you doing it on a regular basis? I'm passionate about a lot of things. Like, I love fireworks. Fireworks are like one of my favorite things in the world. I do not want to work in the field of fireworks. Because I want to watch them. I don't want to build them. I would love it if I had a computer program where I could just program fireworks shows. If that happened and I never had to be near anything that was combustible, but I could go watch the show, I don't know, you might lose me at Autism Live, right? Right? Because that would be very exciting to me. But other than that, I don't want to do it for a living. There's a lot of other things that I'm really passionate about too. I'm really passionate about my kid and our kids. So it's very exciting for me to get to sit here and talk with you and to hear from you guys. So please write in. Okay, and tell us, what are you passionate about? All right. And so we always have a topic for the week. We're finishing out this week today and tomorrow with our topic about fresh starts. You know, it's okay. It's Thursday. It's okay for you to just take a breath and ask yourself, is this week going the way I want to? And if the answer is no, it's okay to take another breath and say, what can I do today to make today fun? What can I do today to make me feel like I matter? What can I do today to make my kid know that I love them? You know, ask yourself those positive assumptive questions, because as I've said before on the show, your brain is a computer and it will always say yes. So if you say, today sucks, the computer goes, yep, that's right, it sucks. And here's your evidence, right? You were on the phone with the insurance company, it didn't get through. This is a day that sucks, right? But if you say to your brain, how can I make today one of the best days ever? Your brain goes, yes, you can make today one of the best days ever. And it starts to give you evidence of you could do this, or you could do that, or, you know, have you taken the time to do X, Y, Z today? So if it's not going the way you want, institute a fresh start right now in your head. I love that, you know, there's things that we want, but most of them are a state of being. The big push for me, there was a period of time in which I got really bummed about the fact that I didn't have a whole lot of money. And I was like, how do some people have money and I don't have money? And I mean, we had no money, right? And my kid had been diagnosed with autism, and I was like, this isn't fair, this isn't right. If I'd known, I would have made my whole life about making money and this would not be the issue, right? And I got really, really bummed out about it. And then I heard somebody speak who said, you know, the whole thing about money is that people say that they want, you know, $1 million or $1 trillion or whatever. They don't really. They want to feel like what they think it feels like when they have that amount of money. And I was like, huh? What? No, I'd like to have $1 million. I don't want to feel what it feels like to have $1 million. I'd like to have the $1 million. But it was pointed out to me that having $1 million comes with some responsibilities and taxes and all these other things that are not always fabulous. But that when I was able to tear it down and go, oh, I want to feel like anything, $1 million to me feels like anything is possible, that I could help anybody that I wanted to, that I could do anything that I wanted to do, and that I could be the captain of my day. And the truth is, in a large way, I probably could do that today without $1 million. So just putting it out to you, change your mind and you change everything, right? Fresh start right now. Thursday, we can declare a fresh start. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that throughout the day. And we've got two amazing guests that are going to be with us today. We're starting with our autism expert today, and that's Aimee Sackrider, and she is so fabulous. I'm so excited that she's going to be on the show and she's going to be answering some of your questions. And then we have Chrisa Sadd, who is an LMFT. She's the mental health director from the Ed Asner Family Center. She's been on the show before, but this is the first time that she's coming on to talk about the mental health services that are currently available at the Ed Asner Family Center. You know, I have been, hearing and part of some of the conversations as this has come to fruition. You know how when somebody says something like, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd really like to, and I've heard Nava Paskowitz Asner and Matt Asner for many years now saying, what we want to do is create a place where, and then there were all these things, and then over time more things would get added, but at the core of all of it from day one, the first time I heard them talk about it, was that we want it to be a place where kids are getting services and at the same time the whole family can, and that there's a mental health component. And really that's, one of the very unique things, one of many unique things about the Ed Asner Family Center. But it's been so cool to listen to them talk about it and watch them achieve things and sometimes have setbacks and then say, nope, 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 even though that didn't work out, we're moving on to this and work it out. And they're there. They're there. I'm so proud of them. And it's amazing. And they're changing the world by making sure that there's mental health services for these families because, look, we need it, right? So Chris is going to be here and talk about what those services are, and you're going to really find that very fascinating. And then we'll hopefully have time for a mindfulness moment, maybe even with her. So that will be super fabulous. So it's time to take a break, and then we are going to come back. I feel like I missed something, Traven. Did I miss something? No? I feel like we did the topic. I feel like I missed something. No, it's okay. We're going to take a break, and then we are going to come back with Aimee Sackrider answering your questions. So stick with us.
Hey, I'm Candace Cameron Bray.
Tom Bergeron.
You're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
You're watching Autism Live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Camp Ed 2019. And we are so excited because this is our first camp where we're in our new home. We have an incredible ballroom dance class going right now, so let's come and take a look.
Camp Ed at the Ed Asner Family Center is an inclusive arts camp featuring some of your favorite arts programs. We have a little over 3 weeks of camp left. We want you to come and join the excitement.
Hi, I'm Nava Pasquitz Asner, the co-founder of the Ed Asner Family Center and the founder of Camp Ed. And I'd like to introduce you to Andrew Pascal, who is my new camp director for 2019.
We have a very action-packed last 3 weeks of camp. Next week we have Art Week, where we're gonna do a color run. We're gonna get really colorful. We're gonna tie-dye some clothes. The week after that, we're doing Heroes Week, where we're going to talk about heroes as well as fictional superheroes. Our last week is Surf Week and Celebration Week. And Nava, can you tell us a little bit about Surf Week?
Yes, definitely. This is my favorite day of the entire summer. We're going to be working with the amazing surf therapists of A Walk on Water, and they're just going to give us a great day, beach, fun, just a really wonderful, safe day. Please come join us at Camp Ed 2019.
Yeah!
Woohoo!
To join us for a week or the next 3 weeks, call us at 818-302-0712. Once again, that's 818-302-0712. Camp Ed and the Ed Asner Family Center were created by our family for your family.
Well, I'll be hornswoggled.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
Welcome to Smarty. This month, we're going to be making our own chore spin wheel. You'll notice when we make this fun activity, these icons are going to be popping up onto the screen. These correlate to specific skill sets that are in the Skills program. Skills is the ABA-based online tool that helps parents build their own teaching plan for children on the autism spectrum. If you are a Skills user, this will help you get the most out of this educational opportunity. Well, let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are a large bowl to trace, cardstock, scissors, a pencil, a ruler, a hole puncher, a metal brad, and any other arts and crafts materials you want to use to decorate your pinwheel with. So step one, you're going to take your large bowl and place it on top of the cardstock and trace the circle. Step two, you guessed it, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut along the line. Step three, you're going to fold the circle into quarters. This is the best way to make sure all the triangles within it are symmetrical. Once you folded the paper, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to trace those lines so you can actually see them on the circle. Now here comes the fun part. Take your arts and crafts materials and you're going to decorate the chore spin wheel. I used some crayons to color in every other quadrant so you could see them pop and see the difference between the different chores. Place the different adaptive skills your child is working on in the different quadrants. Once you're done decorating the circle and labeling the different chores in each quadrant, then you're going to take your scrap paper that you had left over and you're going to cut an arrow out of it. Once the arrow has been cut, you're going to take your hole puncher and hole punch on the very edge of it. This will be your spinner. Then you're going to take your arrow and your circle and line them up and take your brad and place it through and secure it. And voila, you have your finished chore spin wheel. Well, I enjoyed making this activity with you and I hope to see you soon. Until next time, guys, craft on! To find more about Skills and to access all of the lessons you saw in today's Smarty, visit skillsforautism.com and click on the parent icon. Skills, the online autism solution.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We have a segment that we try to do on Thursday mornings where we ask an autism expert. Today our expert is Aimee Sackrider, and I was just saying to her that I've said so many nice things about her behind her back in the last 2 weeks. Plus there have been so many parents who have said wonderful glowing things about her. So I'm thrilled that she's here with us on the show today. Aimee, welcome to Autism Live.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. Now, Aimee, can you just tell our audience just a short little thing about what your title is at CARD and what you do and where?
Absolutely. So I am in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm a senior clinical manager at CARD. So what I do is I support all three of our San Antonio offices, and I oversee the clinical workings of everything. I mainly support our supervisors and our BCBAs as well as our assistant supervisors, and then I also have a couple of my own patients that I supervise as well.
Those are lucky, lucky parents that have you supervising and have you overseeing their supervisors. What a wonderful thing. So, Aimee, we've got a couple of questions for you here. I'm going to jump right into them. The first one, hello, my 5-year-old was recently diagnosed with ASD level 1. We are trying to figure out how to discipline him when he doesn't listen. He hits us and throws tantrums. Right now, we just hold him until he calms down, but sometimes that doesn't work. He calms down in his room sometimes, but I'm just not sure how to respond when he is continuously hitting us. And she says, thank you very much.
Sure. So, okay. So, yes, this sounds like it can be extremely frustrating. From a behavior analytic standpoint, my first question is always going to be, do we know why he is hitting and throwing tantrums? So I know, Shannon, on the show you talk a lot about functions of behavior, and that's the first place I would start. So if this parent has any inkling or indication as to why her son is sitting throwing the tantrums. We want to know, is it happening for escape or attention or access to something or for some sort of automatic reinforcement? You really got to know why, which one of those things it is, so that we can figure out how to appropriately respond. Because if you don't know why, then the way that you respond to his tantrums may not work, or it may actually possibly make things worse. So I would start there. If you don't know exactly how to figure that out, I would say watch some Autism Live and get some information on how, or reach out to someone in the BCBA for assistance, and that'll be your starting point to figure out how you're going to respond to those tantrums and when he hits.
I love that answer because, you know, it isn't a one-size-fits-all. But I will tell you, too, that if you go onto skillsforautism.com, do the free trial, they have something called the BIP Builder, and within that, there's something called the CFA, which is the Card Indirect Functional Assessment. You could answer the questions there and see if it can help you to determine the function. But when it's hitting, do what Aimee said. She's the expert. Get a BCBA on the case. Okay, so I just heard myself talking. It was like, well, she's the expert. Shannon, you should shut up. Okay, but in any case, let's move on to our other question here. Hello, I have a 28-month-old son with ASD who has been in full-time ABA since he was 22 months. Good for you. He's a sweet and smart cookie when he is motivated to learn. Otherwise, he sings nursery rhymes all the time, and she has that in caps. He's obsessed with alphabets. This becomes a major problem when we want him to attend to a task at hand. He has only a couple of spontaneous mans at this point. He has a difficult time attending to people fully for any given time. How can we eliminate, singing during task time? Please help with 2 exclamation marks. What do you think, Aimee?
Well, first of all, I second what you said, Shannon. That's amazing that he's been in full-time ABA since he was not even 2 years old. So you're on the right track. And what I would say is a couple of things. First of all, if there's any way to incorporate the things he's interested in, the nursery rhymes or the alphabet, into some of the tasks that you're trying to get him to attend, that might be a way to get him interested in what you're trying to get him to do. You said he's really smart when he's motivated to learn, which I see a lot when our kids are interested in alphabets and nursery rhymes. Like, that's great. That's a good sign. So if there's any way that you can incorporate that into the task so that he's more motivated to pay attention, that could be a good place to start. And that might also help with getting him to attend to you for a longer period of time, because you said that's kind of a problem too. That might also be a good place to start getting him to mand more spontaneously. If you can work on him manding for certain songs or letters or things like that. And then in terms of eliminating singing during task time, you're going to have to find some sort of reinforcer, either using the nursery rhymes or something he likes just as much or more, to motivate him to pay attention and stop the singing briefly so that you can work on teaching whatever task you want to do. And because you're in full-time ABA, you should be able to bring some of those questions and thoughts to your supervisor to get going.
Yeah. Parents always, we're looking at the end game instead of how to get there. And sometimes the thing that you want to have stop is the most reinforcing thing, and you gotta hang there until they learn the next thing. And sometimes parents, we don't get that, so it's wonderful when you guys remind us. Okay, last question. My 11-year-old is on the spectrum, and he has 2 sisters, age 8 and 9. I feel like the only way he knows how to interact with them is to be annoying. Running in their rooms and bothering them, then starts the endless he said, she said tattling. It's driving me crazy. How do I teach him to interact nicely with them? He attends a regular ed middle school and does well academically, but this is very immature. And thank you. And actually, he's very immature. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So 11-year-old annoying his sisters. I'm sure that is frustrating and a little bit probably age appropriate, but not something you want to continue forever and ever, especially if he doesn't know how else to interact with his sisters. So what I would suggest is maybe if there's any kind of activity or thing that all 3 of them like to do together, try to set up opportunities for them to play a game or do an activity or do something that they're all interested in, so that they have something to do together besides just bugging the heck out of each other. And you're probably going to have to set that up specifically, and coach him a little bit on what to say to his sisters, and then make sure you're praising him and his sisters when they're actually talking together and playing together and doing it all appropriately. Sometimes we kind of forget that reinforcement component. I know he's a little bit older and he seems like he has a lot of skills, but it's still going to be important to make sure you've got a reinforcement component in to make sure he gets praised and reinforced when he's acting appropriately. And then I would also make sure that the expectations are set for him. Maybe sit him down at a time when he's not bothering them and you're not annoyed, and go over the expectations with him so that he and role play a little bit with him even on how to talk to his sisters in a way that you feel is more appropriate.
I love that advice. I love that advice, because if we don't have the skills to do something and we don't know how to appropriately ask for those skills, we'll just keep doing the same thing to get the response that we get. And he's getting a response from them, so that right now is the only reinforcement he's getting, is them being annoyed with him. And instead, flip that equation, talk to him about how to do it, give him the skills to do it, and the expectation that he needs to be able to do it, reinforcing the girls for when they respond appropriately, when he does the right thing, could change this whole equation for this family. What a wonderful thing. Aimee, as promised, you were just fabulous, and I can't thank you enough. We look forward to having you on the show again, and I hope that I'm going to get to the San Antonio region sometime in the next year. So I look forward to seeing you and your families.
That would be amazing. Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks
for inviting me on. I love Autism Live.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much doing this for us. You have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. That was the wonderful Aimee Sackrider, and she's a clinical manager in the San Antonio region for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and just honestly, I hear nothing but good things about her, and my experience of her is that she's amazing, as you just heard. So, hey, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we are going to have Chrisa Sadd here, and she is going to be talking to us about the mental health services that have started now at the Ed Asner Family Center. We're so excited to talk about this and all the wonderful things that they are providing there, so stick with us.
Can you have a life with autism? Absolutely not. Give it up right now. No, that's not true. I'm here to tell you, you can have a life with autism. I have a life with autism, and it's a good one. When you start on this journey, you don't know what's going to happen. You really have no idea. You're kind of in shell shock for the first couple years. It could be as long as 5 years, until you realize, I do matter to people. When my son was first diagnosed, I remember thinking I would go anywhere and do anything for him. I didn't even think about it. I just came way at the bottom of the list. However, after a few years passed, I realized if I'm not important anymore, then that means no one's going to be here for him. So how do you have this life with autism? It's not easy. It's never going to be easy, but it can be done. It's really all about support. And support is a word you're going to hear a lot when you deal with the autism power structure. And that means schools, government agencies, social service agencies that can help you. There are things out there that you don't even know exist. So once you start connecting with other parents, you're going to kind of find this treasure chest full of things that only they can help you unlock. But once you get that support, it could be a babysitter coming to your home. It could be a therapist to take your child out and get him into the community. You can either leave the house, do your shopping, go to a farmer's market, do whatever you want to do. And it doesn't matter if it's really only about 5% of your time. As long as it's dedicated to you, that's going to help. It's all about your willingness to find support and your willingness to accept change and your willingness to kind of stick up for yourself, because you're battling for your child, and you have to realize you guys are connected. You know, there's a bond between you and your child that can never be broken. And if you're doing well, then your child's going to do well. So finding what you need to be happy, whole, and healthy as a person is a way that you can have a life with autism. And that's important too, because if you have a life with autism, you can also give your child a life too.
For the month of August, I figured we'd do some fun in the sun activity. We're gonna make our very own frozen bowling game. It's super fast and super easy. I was inspired by some lessons I saw in skills. All right, so let's get to it. The materials you'll be needing are water, water bottles, balloon, and food coloring, which is always optional. First step you're gonna do is make your bowling ball, since it'll have to freeze overnight. The first thing I'm gonna do is take my balloon and put a few drops of food coloring in it. This is optional. If you don't have food coloring or your child has an allergy to it, don't use it, but I thought it'd be fun to make everything super colorful. So, I have my food coloring. I'm gonna put a few drops in here. And then, take this to the sink and fill it up with water and tie it a knot. Here's my balloon filled with water and the food coloring. I'm gonna take this and place it in the freezer with some towels, just so it holds its shape better. Our next step is to make the bowling pins. I have 10 recycled water bottles that I've refilled with water. Now I'm gonna put some food coloring in them.
Straight to the center at full speed. Light will surround you in a blink of an eye.
Now that my bowling ball is frozen and my pins have been filled with water, let's go outside and play with these.
See all the colors in the sky tonight. It's time to let the sunshine hide.
I hope you and your family have fun with the frozen bowling game like I did with my friend Emily. Well, until next time, craft on, guys. Bye.
Can you see me flying by your side?
Logan Shepherd. At first glance, he looks like a typical American teenager. He plays in a band, loves hanging out with his friends. He doesn't like doing homework, and he's not really fond of broccoli. But Logan Shepherd is not your typical 14-year-old. Logan was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He was nonverbal, made no eye contact, and his parents were told to abandon all hope. Instead, his parents began an intensive intervention treatment. At its center was a quality ABA program known as the CARD method. This is Logan Shepherd now.
All I really want to say is, I'm kind of copying Martin Luther King. I kind of have a dream that one day I can just inspire people and never give up, because that's what I want to do in life, because if I can succeed, they can succeed, and I will succeed.
To follow Logan's musical journey, visit www.facebook.com/officialdrummerrock or @drummerrock on Instagram. For more information on the CARD method, visit www.centerforautism.com or call 800-345-CARD. Rock on, Logan.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really excited because back in the studio with us is Chrisa Sadd. I was saying it both ways, but now I think we got it right. And she is an LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist, but she is the director of mental health services. I just want to stop and go yay at the Ed Asner Family Center, right? I think we should all collectively go yay, because this has been a long time coming. This has been in the works for a while, and you guys have been providing some services, but now you have a center, you have a home, and you've got a whole new thing that you're starting there. That has been the brainchild in the works for so very long, but now you're here.
Yes.
So where is
yes,
here?
and here is Reseda, California.
Yeah.
And you know, you're absolutely right. This has been in the works for the past year and a half, but it was really the vision of Matt and Nava Asner. And they saw such a tremendous need out there for so many enrichment programs. They call themselves a one-stop shop center.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of fun stuff going on. Right now we have Camp Ed. And we had a different home last year where we debuted, and we did a few services, but now we have our forever home. We're very excited. We're up and running, and we have so many wonderful things planned.
Yeah.
So they pretty much, in terms of mental health, Matt and Nava have a couple children on the spectrum, and they call themselves the Brady Bunch of Autism. They were trying to find services in terms of mental health with experienced people, people that knew what it was like to be a parent, or understood what parents go through, understand what siblings go through, and what individuals go through. And it was really hard to find licensed clinicians. There are very few of us out there.
Yeah. And even when, can I just interject that even when you find licensed clinicians, their experience with what an autism family goes through is often limited. I've said before on the show that when we started an intervention after my son was diagnosed, and I needed some help, like things were going south for me, and they were going south for my husband and I, and we went to somebody, and she listened to what and she was like, well, it sounds like your autism intervention is the thing that's stressful. You should stop that. And that was the one and only appointment that we went to, because I went, thank you, you have no idea what you're talking about, and didn't go anymore. But now, you know, in this holistic approach that you guys have, where the kids come in and are doing something that's enriching for them, that's fun for them, but that there are things for the parents and the siblings to do as well that are about mental health. I got a notice this morning telling me that you guys had a meditation happening today.
Yes. Oh, and did I miss it? Because I love that.
It's like today at 2.
Oh, okay, great. I can't wait to go.
So there's all these, so it's not just one thing, it's all of these different things, as you said, a one-stop shop, so that family coming in has so many things, but but other people have tried to do other things, but they've left the mental health component out.
Yes.
And that's the thing that you're filling in.
And you're absolutely right. You want to make sure you have a good match, that you feel really safe and trusting of whoever you're working with. And so one of the things that we've partnered with CSUN, and this is the first collaboration and that they've had in terms of mental health. So they're training 5 to 8 different clinicians. They're giving education and training, awareness, and I've met these therapists. They have a background, and one of the therapists is a mom with a child on the spectrum, and she's pursuing her license in psychotherapy. And so others, one woman came from Regional Center. She just wanted to work in a different way and provide help in another way. So we really have these wonderful people. They're providing one-on-one therapy for individuals, families, couples. One of our clinicians just wants couples. She's like super enthusiastic about it, wants just couples. And so they're also under the supervision of Sarita Friedman. She has 20 plus years experience.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Wonderful woman, clinician. And let's see, Deborah is also the clinical director that's overseeing everything, our collaboration. And so we have availability. These clinicians are ready to go. We just opened, I think, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You were at the open house.
It's wonderful. The facility is gorgeous, first of all.
Yes.
It's just so beautiful.
It's a dream.
But it's more than that. There's a feeling there. You know how sometimes you go into a place and I see I'm going to get emotional, but there is a feeling there. There's a feeling like walking into a place where you're being held. Is what it feels like.
Yes, and that Nava wanted a very comfy environment, very inclusive for everybody. Last week we had a barbecue and a movie. We had sensory-friendly furniture. We had mats. We had the love sacks. We had chairs. We had it all we're mindful of that and what the needs are. So and then next door is more of a quiet space.
Yes.
It's another, we have this just wonderful space. And so the team is I feel so honored to be a part of these amazing, compassionate people.
I'm emotional. I'm having to mop down because it's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful thing that it's come to fruition, and that your component is at the core of it, because everything else is a little bit like putting wallpaper up over crumbling walls, right?
Yes.
If you leave that piece out, you're just slapping a Band-Aid on it. So I love that families, it's here in Los Angeles, in the Valley, so families here can get this, but I hope that you guys are going to have a roadmap for other places to show how important
that's
this
part
is.
of the vision.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I would like to talk about too is all of the groups that are starting in September.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So, and you talked about the feel of our home, and Aviva is the daughter of Matt and Nava, and she's our art director, and she's responsible for all the art. She is an amazing artist. She can just whip something up like, Aviva, can I have some ocean theme in my room? And this is what you're gonna find when you come to the therapy room. We're gonna have this ocean room. We have Carl the fish. He's one of the little, he's a therapy fish.
I love it.
So she and I are running a sibling group. We're trying to approach it from a different perspective. We're going to have a different theme each week for siblings. We're approaching it from an art perspective, discussing thoughts and feelings through crafts and expression of art. So they'll create something based on whatever the topic is. It's maybe what makes you angry, or what gets you happy. What's your happy place? Can you create that in an art form, and then let's talk about it. So it'll be in the last part of the class where we'll talk about it, and hopefully hearing other siblings' experience will be healing and helpful.
Absolutely.
So we have that going on. We also have a dad's group that Matt is going to facilitate, and it's a poker night.
I was going to say, I heard they're going to play poker.
Yes, they're playing poker. I think that's in 2 weeks.
Okay, I got to get my husband signed up for
Yes. So it's a guy's night.
Yeah.
So Matt, he's wonderful in listening and getting people's vibe and hearing, so from this kind of environment, he's going to be running a poker therapy group. But they don't want to use the word therapy.
Right.
A lot of people have a reaction to that word, including people on the spectrum. They're like, no more therapy. I don't want to go to another therapy thing.
Right.
So we're going to be creative with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Let's see. We also have sex education and social media for young adults, women, and older age teen girls.
Yes.
And that's going to be run by a parent and myself, Jill Centerhart, Spencer's mom. We all know Spencer.
Oh my goodness.
So this was her creation. She saw a need out there for sex education and social media awareness. We hope to get one up and running soon with for guys. We'll have to put that together. But right now we have this one starting, and
wonderful.
We're open and ready for sign-ups.
What's the age range on that? Do they have to be 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Spencer I think she just turned 21.
I believe on Saturday or Sunday was her birthday.
Yeah, I think she just turned 21. So Jill's been through a lot and has a wealth of experience to bring to this group.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really helpful. We also have a mom's group that Nava and I are going to facilitate. She wants to do mindful practice, meditation, yoga, different approaches for moms and coping skills.
Yes.
And then we have right now one more wonderful group that's going to be starting, very necessary and needed. It's the Gay Straight Alliance, our LGBTQ group, and a very big need for this group. So Aimee has a vision for this group. She also works at the center. She calls herself neurodivergent individual, and she also is an educator and activist. So she feels very strongly about. She's very compassionate about this group, and Aimee, Liv, and myself are going to be running this particular group and facilitating it. So Those are our fantastic groups, and
All
they're
starting
open,
in the fall?
All starting actually mid-September.
Okay.
We're getting all of these, taking phone calls now, assessments.
Okay.
Not necessarily assessments, but more of like,
Which group
I'm
might be
doing
right?
the intakes.
Yeah.
Which group might be a good fit?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Okay, and so where do people have to call or go to be able to start that conversation? Let's
Okay.
start there.
So we have the Ed Asner Family Center website, www.edasnerfamilycenter.org.
Okay.
We also, our phone line is 818-302-0712. And also, or they can contact me for mental health
Okay.
at Chrisa at edasnerfamilycenter.org.
Okay.
Or, Nava and Matt, anybody really, we're all geared to really helping to find what each person might need.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking for a different group or a enrichment.
Yes.
So
there's something for everyone there. Let's say that.
yes.
You might just start the conversation by calling and saying, I heard about this.
I want to come in and see.
I want to come look at it. I'm not sure where we fit in, but I'm told that there's a place for everybody,
Yes.
and there is. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Let's talk a little bit about, does this go through their insurance? How does this work in terms of the person? Because, people want to know, what's it going to cost
Yes.
me?
And so we are so new. We're in the process, unfortunately, it takes forever
Yeah.
to become a Medi-Cal provider.
Yeah.
So that hopefully we're going to have going, it takes probably in the next 4 or 5 months. The application is just like a whole foreign language to me, and it's really difficult, but we're hoping to do that.
Yeah.
We also, right now we're sliding scale.
Okay.
We will work with individuals based on what they have available to them financially.
Okay.
Private pay, and also, we're really going to look into grants for underwriting a lot of our mental health. So for right now, it's sliding scale. And once I'm also getting us on a lot of the insurance panels.
There we go.
Kaiser, Beacon, Blue Shield. A lot of people have Blue Shield.
Yeah.
And also, our services are not just for the special need person, but grandparents, caregivers. A lot of anxiety and depression comes along with this diagnosis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I need to tell you.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, it needs to be said, because sometimes it doesn't get said, and people sit and think, oh, it's just me. I'm the only person who can't handle this. And we all need to just fess up and be honest that I don't know. I mean, I'm searching my memory banks, but I don't know an autism mom that I know really well that hasn't experienced a tremendous amount of anxiety.
Right.
And it doesn't follow the same path for everybody. Some people feel tremendous anxiety when they're in the middle of the minute their kid gets diagnosed with autism. Other people feel it later on, and it can just show up.
Well, at different life stages.
Yes.
So initially, you're maybe perhaps panicked, trying to whip into gear to get all the services in place. You don't have time for yourself. You don't have time for your other children, perhaps, or you just kind of try to navigate the whole system. And then later on, as a child becomes a teenager, there's a whole nother thing with teenagers, and then the layer of the special needs individual.
Yeah.
Then dating, then college age.
Yeah.
Sarita,
it doesn't end.
Sarita wrote a book about college on the spectrum.
Yes.
And so she's a wealth of information for that particular topic.
Yeah.
And Matt and Nava's children are growing older too, so they're fantastic. And how old's your son?
My son just turned 16.
Okay,
so,
there you go. You're in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it doesn't end. It just phases into and morphs into new things. But the anxiety is a piece of it.
Correct.
It just is.
Even I'm having some experience now. Some of my clients are mid-20s, independent living.
Yeah.
Job readiness. Joanne Lara, she's fantastic. She also is a part of the center.
Yeah.
Life skills, all sorts of things that we're going to be able to create and provide at the center.
It's so wonderful. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but there's so many things to talk about. We'll continue to talk about it, but Amazing things going on right now. There's still 2 weeks left of Camp Ed. And
Yes.
if you've got a kiddo that's in anywhere in the Los Angeles area that's at a loose end, please stop what you're doing, call them and get them signed up to go for the last 2 weeks, even if it's just one of the last 2 weeks.
I think one of the weeks is Surf Week,
It
too.
is the last week. It's
Is it
Surf
the
Week.
last? Okay.
So, do that.
And stop by for meditation.
Well, I don't know if I can get there today
Well,
at 2,
yeah,
but it's
today's
on my
Thursday.
list. It was
Okay.
like if my schedule is free around then. But what a wonderful, wonderful thing to have that opportunity. And there are Saturday classes, Sunday classes.
Right now
going
there's
on
Sunday, but then the center will be open 6 days a week.
Okay, so Sunday classes, which are fitness classes, and there's a voiceover class, and all of these different things are ballroom dancing. There's all these things. So sign up for those. But then in the fall, a whole bunch more new things are happening. If you want to get in on the mental health piece,
Please
and
call.
talk to them. And she said sliding scale. So it's what you can afford to pay. Take advantage of that.
Yes.
And thank you so much for all the amazing work that you're doing. And give my love to everybody over there. I'm so excited about what's happening over there.
Too.
It's like the top of my head could fly off around the room. In any case, we're way out of time. We're past. But I just want to say that tomorrow on the show for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and of course I've done away with my notes. Oh yeah, how can I forget this? So tomorrow Elaine Hall from the Miracle Project is on, and then we're actually having Joanne Lara and Susan Osborne from Autism Works Now. They're talking about the classes that they're offering currently at the Ed Asner Family Center and the ones that they'll be offering in the fall. There's an amazing new autism movement therapy class that's for the really little kids, which is super fabulous, awesome. In addition to that Autism Works Now piece for our older kids who are getting job ready. So all of that tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. Plus Nancy and I cover a bunch of it in the news. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.